Hi, and welcome to our presentation, Go Get Your Money. Today we're going to be talking about updates to Minnesota's renter property tax refund. This is being put on by Homeline with support from a grant from the Department of Revenue. So disclaimer, Homeline staff are not tax experts and this is not tax advice. Please reach out to tax experts if you need support in filing your taxes. So a little bit first about Homeline before we get started. Homeline is a statewide nonprofit organization, and we provide free legal, educational, and advocacy services to Minnesota renters. And since 1992, we've advised 335,000 people or renters in the state. Our primary program is a free and confidential legal hotline that any Minnesota renter can use to receive legal advice specific to their situation in 4 different languages. Homeline has a staff of 24, and this includes attorneys, tenant advocates, and tenant organizers. We also rely on volunteers and interns. If you need any support in your rental situation, you can reach out to our hotline here. And like I said, we offer our services in 4 languages, Spanish, Somali, and Hmong, as well as English, and there is a specific line for each language. You can also reach out to us online at homelinemn.org/email. All right, we're going to start to get into it. So today, we're going to review 1, what the renter's credit is, 2, what it used to look like, how you might have been used to filing it previously, 3, the 2024 tax filing changes, and 4, different resources that can support you in answering questions, helping you file your taxes, etc. So 1, what is the renter's credit? The renter's credit, so as a renter in Minnesota, a portion of your rent is used by your landlord to pay their property taxes. A lot of renters in Minnesota are able to use the portion to get a portion of the rent that they have paid refunded to them by using information from a tax form called a certificate of rent paid, or a CRP, to fill out a portion on their income taxes. A lot of us renters have received that CRP before, and we use our CRPs to file for our renter's credit to get the refund back. There are a few things that you need to have to receive a CRP and to get a refund through your taxes. So 1, you have to have a social security number or an individual taxpayer identification number. You have to be a Minnesota resident. You have to have lived in a property that you rented and the owner paid property tax on. Your household had to have made less than $73,270 in 2023. Those incomes have been updated, so you will have to check what that is. And you are not listed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. Not every renter will qualify for this. However, the average refund for qualified renters in Minnesota through this credit is $731. What you receive may be more or less than this if you qualify to receive the refund. So you're going to want to keep an eye out. As a tenant, you should receive a certificate of rent paid, your CRP, for every Minnesota rental property you lived in 2024. Your CRPs start being sent out in January, and you should be sent one by your property owner or management by January 31st. Looking over here at what is available in terms of this, your CRP should have this letterhead located on the right of the screen. So if you see this, double check what it is before you throw it away. It will say it's a certificate of rent paid, and then it's coming from the Department of Revenue. Check out for this because you will need all of the information on this to file your refund. So a couple different things. What will be included on your CRP, and what rent does include. So rent includes anything that you have paid to your landlord that is agreed by in the lease. It also includes medical assistance, Minnesota housing support, state or county vendor payments. It includes any amounts that you have paid for a garage spot or a parking spot or any storage lockers on site, if that's been included in your lease. It also includes any amounts you've paid for utilities or for pet rent monthly, if it is included in your rent amount every month. And then it also includes any funds that come that you may have been offered by a city due to relocation needs. So again, rent includes anything that through your lease you're paying to your landlord monthly. What rent does not include? Your rent doesn't include your damage deposit unless at the end of your lease it was used to pay rent. It doesn't include any late charges or fees. It doesn't include rent paid after December 31st, 2024. It doesn't include any utilities if you've paid them separately from your rent. It also doesn't include any rent paid by a federal government housing agency or federal programs such as Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program or any other programs through HUD. If you do have a voucher, a great way to break this down, or any other like support from federal program, is that your CRP reflects what you paid, not what other programs have paid for you. Your rent also doesn't include any money you've paid for a garage or a separate structure that's not included in your lease. It doesn't include emergency rental assistance funds that you may have received, and it also does not include free rent that may have been provided as a move-in incentive. If you have not received your CRP by February 1st, or you believe that the listed amount of rent you paid is incorrect, contact your landlord. If they don't respond, contact the Department of Revenue and request a rent paid affidavit. The phone number is here as well as the email. So we'll talk a little bit about how we used to file our renter's credit. So prior to the legislative changes in 2023, when taxes were filed, tenants would file a renter's property tax refund return. This refund would typically be filed separately from your income taxes. So some of your tax services did allow for it to be all filed together when you were online and you could do it through the same process, but it was difficult to navigate. The deadline for this filing was August 15th, and the refunds for this would be received in late summer. All of these processes are changing for your 2024 tax filing. So talking about the changes. The big ones that we're going to be seeing in terms of changes to our renter's tax credit will be that your renter's credit will be filed as a part of your Minnesota individual income tax return. So as you are filing your state income tax return, your renter's credit will also be included in that process. You're going to receive your refund all at once in the springtime. So any refunds that you receive from the state, you will also your renter's credit will now be lumped into that. The deadline for filing will be April 15th, tax day. So we are on a shortened timeline. And you will likely see an increased refund amount. If you don't file your 2024 renter's credit with your general tax filing, you will not receive your refund. So there's going to be a couple new forms on this, and a lot of people don't have to look at these, but it's good to be aware of and to just double check in because we are moving through a new system. So if you have any questions or you're not sure if you file, ask a tax preparer if you need support on this. But we're looking at 3 new forms. So one, we're looking at the form M1, your individual income tax form. You're looking at the 2024 Schedule M1 rent, which is the renter's credit form, and you're looking for a 2024 Schedule M1 ref, the refundable credits form. These forms, if you do your taxes yourself, they're going to be available at this link below, and they can be found underneath the individual income tax drop-down list. So this is just kind of a general idea of this is what the individual income tax form looks like. This is what you're going to want to be looking for on the website. This is the M1 rent renter's credit form. We've highlighted here a couple of things that you need to know. This is some of the information where you put information from your CRP onto these forms. And then this is the refundable credits form. Again, we've kind of highlighted this is where you're going to put your renter's credit in addition to any other credits that you may have. So we'll go over this one more time. Before, when in previous years, when we filed for our renter's credit, it was filed through a separate form. You could mail it into the state through a separate process. The refunds were received in the late summer, early fall, and you had an August deadline for filing. Now, for filing in 2024 for taxes and moving forward, your renter's credit is going to be filed with your Minnesota income tax return. Your refunds will be received in spring with all other state refunds, and there's now the April deadline for filing, along with all of your other tax forms. The last thing that we're going to be talking about is just some resources that can support you in getting questions answered or just like filing your taxes generally. Number one is Prepare and Prosper. They are a nonprofit that offers free tax preparation services for individuals that make less than 40,000 and for families that make less than 70,000. They will support folks who either have a social security number or an ITIN. And they also have Spanish speaking certified acceptance agents, CAS agents, so that if you need to get your ITIN, if you need to get an ITIN or you need to renew it, that's a service that they provide for free under the same income guidelines. And then the phone number is just right here, 651-287-0187. And something that's a little more general is the volunteer income tax assistance. This people under this program will help prepare federal and state returns for free if you're eligible for that. And you qualify for these supports if you make less than 64,000 a year, are 60 or older, you speak limited English, or you are a person with a disability. There are a bunch of different options that are available around you. And to find those, you can visit the irs.treasury.gov/free tax prep website to find any location that works best for you. And that's all we have. Thank you so much for joining us for this brief presentation. And again, if you have any questions about if you have any questions that you need answered about how to file your taxes or what you do and don't qualify for, please reach out to an individual tax preparer.